Welcome back to the Yarn.chicken podcast. Today I want to go through, as usual, my finished objects, my works in progress and any purchases that I've made. So to begin with my finished objects, I have three, but one is blocking. So the first and most exciting one is the Wanderer pullover that now finally is finished. I have shortened the sleeves, I have sewn in all of the ends, and I have blocked it. Now that I'm touching it, it's ever so slightly damp still, so I will have to block that. I'll have to dry it for a little while longer, but it is finished. This was supposed to be a Christmas present for my partner, and it ended up being nearly 2 months late because the first version that I knit was just too small. And I didn't like the construction. Initially, the original construction is a flat seamed construction. So you knit the front and the back with the raglan decreases, and then you knit the sleeves, and then they want you to sew all of the seams, so including the sleeve portion that is also knit flat and then seamed together. And that construction I initially did stick to because I thought I'm not going to do any modifications on this pattern the first thing I do, because how rude of me to say to a pattern designer, oh, the construction that you decided for your pattern that I've never tried, I'm going to discard, even though I've never tried it. So I did try it, I gave it my best shot, and I didn't like it. The seams ended up being too bulky, and of course it ended up being too small. Although I had done a gauge swatch and I had compared different measurements to one of my partner's existing sweaters, but still it was just too small, and I ended up having to rip all of it out and I reknit it like this. I did do, except for the major construction modifications that I did, I ended up mixing and matching sizes, going for averages, taking what worked in the last version and what didn't. So the only thing that is actually true to the pattern is some of the colour work, but not all of it, because I did definitely freehand some portions that I thought would look better in a different colour combination or stitch combination. So a sweater heavily inspired by the Wanderer pullover. And my partner has tried it on, he's worn it to work a few times, and he looks stinking cute in it. And now the length is correct too. I did post an entire video about sweater surgery. When I finished the sleeves for this and I blocked it, the sleeves ended up being 32 rounds too long. So I had to place lifelines, unravel, and then Kitchener stitch together. And I blame Kitchener stitch for the lack of progress that I've made in other areas of my knitting. Because honestly, that shit is addictive. It's so satisfying. Once you get it, it's just grand. I mean, I have done Kitchener stitch every once in a while before, and I was familiar with the stitch and the logic behind it. But now that I've had like 2 sleeves of 110 stitches each, I feel like I've been bitten by something, and I don't know where this will end. So the Wanderer pullover is doing its last performance in one of these knitting podcasts, because now all of the modifications and corrections are finished and it can safely retire to being worn instead of shown online. And that's where it should be, because the yarn is just so soft. It feels like butter personified. That the main colour is the alpaca from Sunless Garn, 100% alpaca, and the contrasting colours are alpaca wool mix, and I think the alpaca has been discontinued, which is a shame because it's such a lovely texture and it doesn't itch. It's warm and it's fuzzy and fluffy, and it really blooms. It's thickened quite a lot since I blocked it, and I think the one worry that I have is that it might pill because it is so soft, but it doesn't look to have pilled yet, and I think it would have shown if it was going to disintegrate. It was going to have shown by now, because I think my partner's worn it 3 full days. So very happy with the sweater, very happy with the fact that I have a bunch of the yarn left, because I overestimated how much yarn I would need. So I can definitely make myself something out of that yarn, that brown yarn. The white and the red is completely finished. I think I had to do some piecing together of ends at the very end, but the brown I do have some yarn left of, and I think I could make myself a sweater vest. But I think I have enough of the yarn left to make a sweater vest for myself, which is something that I have been considering, because I did make a sweater vest last year and I hated it because it was just too bulky, the fit wasn't right. I think I would like a sweater vest with either just a plain stockinette or a small lace detail or a tiny cable, because the one that I made last year was just a very big, busy cable motif with an owl on huge needles. So it wasn't looking very clean or muted. So plain stockinette vest might be in the cards for me for this year. Next finished object is this cute little scarf, self-drafted, garter stitch with I-cord edges, made out of Lang Yarn's yak and Malabrigo Rio silk mohair in a gorgeous colourway, Arco Iris, and also a little bit of Fingerborg silk mohair. That was the closest colour match I could find for these muted iris orchid colours, because when I ran out of the silk mohair I still had a bunch of the yak left, and I didn't know what to do really, because I didn't want my partner to have to buy more yarn, but at the same time the scarf was too short. So he tried it on, I blocked it, tried to stretch it, because garter stitch does have a lot of give in it, but then the I-cord edge doesn't have as much give, so I couldn't stretch it beyond its capabilities. And I ended up then deciding that, you know what, I will break my yarn buying ban for this, because it's silly to keep a project that isn't perfect in a season where it would get the most use, just for the fact that I can't buy the rest of the yarn for a project. But then my partner actually said, you know what, I bought the original yarn, I'll buy the rest of it. So I didn't break my buying ban, and I think I got a good 10-15 centimeters of length in that action, because the yak was nearly finished too, but the silk mohair ran out a little bit sooner. So I added that with the same I-cord and sewed in all of the ends, and there is a finished scarf. This was the first scarf I ever knit. I have been knitting for 20 years, and that was the first scarf I ever knit. My first knitting project was actually a pair of socks when I was 12 or 11 or something. And my last finished object is actually on the blocking mat as we speak. It's the Pastel Rainbow Baby Blanket by Stitchy Linda, perhaps. And in my last podcast, I said that this was nearly finished. I just had 3 surprise ends that I had to sew in that I hadn't clocked the first time around, because I went and sewed in all of the ends, I thought. And it was so many ends. And then I went to show it and I found another 3 ends. So I did sew in those, and I'm blocking it currently. And then it will be ready to go into a box to wait for its forever home, because it's going to some friends of mine who are starting IVF. And I'm so excited for their lives as mothers together, and to see them as parents is just going to be the loveliest thing. So that's 3 finished objects in one video. That's sort of amazing. I have a mammoth work in progress that I am finally picking up again after pretty much a year in hibernation. And that is my... Don't worry, that wasn't a needle with any live stitches. These are my heavily modified Feel Good trousers by Novita. And I originally had knit up until just after the crotch was joined together, or the legs were joined together. And then I was thinking about construction, because I wanted to add pockets. How do I do that? How do I manage the drawstring? Because I wanted the trousers to go quite high, and I wasn't too pleased with how slim the legs were at the very bottom. So I sort of just placed this project on a cable and ignored it for 10 months. And now I picked it up again. I did finish the top. It has pockets. I haven't sewn the pockets together, the pocket flaps, but I think you can see the vision, right? And this is where my love for Kitchener stitch really was solidified, because I finished the little channel for the drawstring by folding it over and Kitchener stitching it together, and it looks so neat. It is just gorgeous, and this yarn is so compatible with that as well. The alpaca was a bit fuzzier, or quite a lot fuzzier, of course, and it was a bit trickier to see the stitches. And with this yarn, this is the cotton merino from Drops, it was just so clear. All of the stitches were perfectly readable. I didn't go in any half stitches or mess up anything that I can tell. I did, however, knit in a bunch of my own hair. But it's just so neat, the finishing on the inside. I also knit in 2 darts at the back to sort of avoid that extra fabric gathering in the, what is it called? The curve of my back? Svank in Swedish. It's not a very pretty word, but the lower back. I didn't want yarn or fabric to bunch up there, so I did place 2 darts, which I do in when I sew trousers as well. I have to place 2 extra darts because I sort of, my pelvis is sort of tilted forwards, which means that I have a perpetual curve in my back. And I could, of course, go to a physiotherapist for that and correct my posture, but I'm not going to do that, because so once I had finished the top of this, I went back down, unpicked the leg up until the 3rd increase, I think, and just knit it the wrong way around, because this was originally knit bottom up and now I'm knitting it top down. So I ripped back all of this, I picked up stitches all around, and instead of doing decreases to get the same shape again, I just knit straight to have a bit of a wider leg. And then I finished it with a little folded hem, and this folded hem was initially supposed to be a lot longer, but I lost yarn chicken twice with this already, and I'm not buying more yarn for this because my pride just says no. So for this I did a folded over hem with like a 5-row hem. I will see if that actually makes sense. And to figure that out, I'm going to do just the last 5 rows in a stockinette without it being folded over for this. So I'm going to end up with 2 different options, and I will see what I like most after blocking, and then I'll do the second one. Or I'll just omit that last little bit of light green if I don't like it. I like the contrasting pockets. I think they are fun. I also like that the drawstring is two-toned. This is because I ran out of the yarn. I have really pieced this together and it's not symmetrical. You can see that we only have this much of the dark green and the rest is just the light green. But I am really pleased with these so far. Last time I tried them on, I had just joined the pocket flap together in the front, so I haven't actually tried it on with the functioning drawstring. I might go do that and you'll see the B-roll of it. But my thoughts and feelings about it now are just positive. It's going to be a great lounge trouser, and I'm definitely considering making a pair of shorts with a similar construction with the pockets. I think this first iteration has brought me a good way on the way to a perfect fit, and I think there are some things that could be improved upon. So maybe a pair of shorts for the summer, that would be lovely. But as I said, I just have the bottoms to finish and then sewing in the ends at the bottom, because I sewed in all of my ends up top and then I have to finish these and block them. So that is going to be hopefully finished by the next podcast episode. And for my last work in progress for this episode, I have my rainy February socks. I don't know what I should call them, but these are a super simple colour work chart with some pearls, glass beads to mimic a rainy February through the windows. And they are knit with 3 colours of sock yarn. This base black is the Alpaca Storm by Viking Garn, and then these, the blue and the brown, are just scrap sock yarns that I had lying about at home, and the beads were also already in stash. I don't remember why I bought them, but I know that I bought them in LA in a dollar store, and I don't remember why. But I had opened the pack, so I had used some of them, but I cannot remember what for. Anyway, I'm using them now. The first sock is finished. It's a bit too small, or it's a bit too short, so I have to go back and add some length in the foot, because I did a gradual decrease of the foot or the toe instead of my normal side seams on the sides of the toe, and I don't have a good estimation of where to start with my gradual decreases. So I guessed, and I guessed a bit incorrectly. So I'm going to go back and add the length for the toe. And for the second one, hang on, I have a bunch of loose needles chucked in there. For the second one, I am just starting the heel flap, and same thing here, but I ran out of the steel blue one, the steel blue main window colour, so I had to mix and match with some of my other light blues. So this window looks as if there's like a little bit of snow leaning against the window, which I think is quite lovely. This is what I wanted the sock to sort of, the impression that I wanted the sock to give a cold, rainy, bleak February. And I think it really does live up to that expectation. See, I did weave in all of my ends. So this is my second work in progress, also full of my hair. And now, since I'm just on the black stockinette stitch situation, heel flap and gusset, and then foot, I can knit this on the train to work. I can take this to see friends and knit while I talk to someone. I can't really knit this in dark conditions because black yarn, so it's not really a good TV knit for the evenings. But now that I've been watching so much of the Olympic Games, it is a really good Olympic game companion knit. And that is it. Those are my works in progress and my 3 finished objects. And I don't have any purchases. I have been good about my yarn no buy. I am, however, very, very, very tempted, because now that I'm finishing up these bigger projects, I sort of don't have anything fresh to go into. And I think I have to sit with that discomfort for a little while, because this hobby is not about buying yarn, it's about knitting. And the fact that my brain says I don't have anything to knit with just because I don't have a fresh, full bag of untouched balls of yarn, it's just ridiculous. I have so much yarn and I have so many things that I could make with them. And I do actually have fresh, untouched balls of yarns that I bought for specific projects. But those plans I made so long ago, I made them in the summer, and the feeling is just not that of novelty anymore. And I want to get away from that, because I think it's quite an icky thing to get stuck in. So I do think that the 3-month no-buy is actually a good thing for me, because making myself consciously think about using what I have and finding ways to use what I already have. For example, with these socks, I ran out of the alpaca storm, and my first impulse was, of course, to buy more, because I had underestimated how much yarn I would need. And then I realized that, oh, I have nearly a full ball of scraps from another project, from my Wicked socks, which is black. It's nearly the same thickness. It's not as luxurious. It's just a sock base wool polyamide blend, and the alpaca is an alpaca polyamide blend, and that is going to feel softer. But these are going on my feet, and would I rather finish these to have and wear them, or would I rather wait 2 more months until I can buy the yarn that I'm missing? It just didn't really make sense for me, and I'm trying to reprogram my brain to use what I have, because I have so much. So that is it for this podcast episode. If you enjoyed it, which I hope you did, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you feel like chatting, please let me know what you are working on, because I'm guessing you worked on something while you were watching this. Either that, or you were cleaning up, or on your commute. I think it's so interesting to get that little glimpse into other people's lives. So take care of yourself, go drink some water, and maybe put on the Olympic Games, because it's such a good comfort watch. People getting excited about things that aren't important. Great. I don't have to feel any emotions, but I can listen to other people having huge emotions about fails and wins and losses and success and stuff. It's sports. Sports without the toxic masculinity and the toxic behavior. I'm rambling. Bye.